Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video on how I got a 4.0 in my special master's program, and yeah, so 3 tips that got me that 4.0 and a little bit of background as to how I got into the special master's program and how I ended up there to begin with. A little background on me here. For my undergrad, I went to the University of Alabama, and I had a good time there. Love the football, loved the fraternity life and the Greek life, went to parties a lot and just went out a lot in general. But at the end of that, so graduating with a 3.2 after 3 years, I knew that wasn't good enough for medical school. So I liked immunology a lot. That was my favorite class in undergrad. So I applied to the master's program of microbiology and immunology in Tulane. And yeah, so that's how I ended up getting in there in New Orleans at Tulane for my SMP. And this SMP is a 1-year program specifically designed to get you into medical school. So I'm in the SMP. I know that this year I need to be free from distractions. I have no football games or fraternity life or Greek life around me to distract me as much. So the first and number one and most important tip I would recommend for somebody who's wanting to move their grades up or get better grades in their SMP than they did their undergrad is schedule everything. So what I do personally, I just schedule into my notes in my phone. So I don't know if you can see this. Probably not. Maybe. Yeah, so like I'll have daily plans right there. So 228 plans. I have different plans for a day, every single day. The night before, I write down X number of plans. So, say I was going to study for microbiology or study for biochemistry. I'd write that down in my notes section right before I go to bed. The night before, study 2 hours or whatever, and then the next day, that is my priority. So if I get nothing else done in that day, that is going to be the number one thing that I'm going to do. So I would have that to fall back on no matter what I did in the master's program. So yeah, just by doing that, just by planning out my day and scheduling everything, I think that improved my life and improved me as a student in a lot of areas. So for one, I was waking up earlier because I'd schedule when I'd wake up. So that was huge. And then 2, I would schedule out how much time I would study. So this would end up making me study more because I was doing it every day. I was scheduling every day. So instead of just studying, 3 or 4 days before the test, I would study 2 or 3 weeks before the test. So I'd have that whole time of studying 2 to 3 hours a day. And when the test came around, I wouldn't even have to study that much. And I'd still have studied more hours than I did in undergrad. So this was a difference between undergrad for me because in undergrad, I think I'd probably wake up 30 minutes before a class and just go to the class and go on with my day. Not really having anything planned out for the day, just letting, whatever move on and no scheduled plans throughout the day. So, and then I'd end up cramming for a test like 3 or 4 days before the test. I'd still do okay. I'd still do all right, but not as good as I could have done if I had scheduled out my day. So that's my number one tip. I would say schedule everything and plan everything the night before. Some people like to write it down on an actual sheet of paper. I know there's scheduling and planning apps. I know people use calendars and stuff. I just use the notes in my phone. It's really whatever you prefer, I think. Tip number 2, another huge thing that I learned to use in graduate school in my SMP was ANKI, and this is a spaced repetition app. So it's pretty much a flashcard app on steroids. I'm not going to go into the details of ANKI. That's for another video. I'll do that some other time. But just know it's the most efficient way to memorize information, and it's proven that it is. In undergrad, I think I used Quizlet and maybe some flashcards and stuff, but honestly, those aren't as efficient as ANKI. And I literally used ANKI and talked about ANKI so much that my friends would make fun of me for it. They thought I was like a salesman for ANKI. So yeah, use ANKI, learn how to use it, and yeah, don't deny the positives of ANKI. Don't be like, oh yeah, well I use Quizlet and it's just as good. No, it's not. There's a study done as to why ANKI is good and the most efficient and the best use of your time. Learn how to use it, and I guarantee you your grades will improve for the amount of time that you spend studying these flashcards. Number 3, the third thing I did at my SMP that I didn't do in undergrad as much, I think it was that I utilized all the resources available to me. So in a sense, in the University of Alabama, class sizes are larger, you know, upwards of 80 plus people, 80, 100 people in a large lecture hall. Not many people ask questions. Not many people go see the professor after. At Tulane, my class size was around 20 people. So all the professors knew you, you knew them, and it was easier to get in contact, and I felt like I had the green light to ask questions no matter what. So I'd go in after hours, you know, I'd talk to the professors, I'd ask them any questions I had, even if it sounded like a stupid question. And in class, you know, anytime there's an idea that got sparked in my head, even if it sounded dumb, you know, raise a hand, ask a question. And I think, not that I was shy or anything, that I didn't do this in undergrad, but the class sizes are so large that people just don't do that at Alabama. So, yeah, and I think this little, like, all these little questions and stuff, and like paying attention to every single detail that could count for every single point possible is what I did at Tulane, and like asked all these questions, and like to the point of being annoying almost. That's really what moved me from like the A minus area to like the A plus area. So that attention to meticulous detail probably got me from, you know, a 3.92 to a 4.0. That little bit of just constantly being on top of everything and never letting any little grade not count. Just attention to detail. So that's 3 tips on how I did better in my SMP than I did in undergrad. I want to shout out Andres because he was the one that requested it down below. If you have any other video requests, guys, just let me know down below. I'll be pumping out videos pretty soon here. And yeah, thanks. Subscribe and have a nice day.